the microfiche. So do y'all know what that is?
No.
What?
Whoa. See, that's...
What is a microfiche?
That's where Millennials and Gen X have a distinction. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right, Sean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw this on like a very first season of CSI.
Yes, they're on
the
those.
little things that it's like white and you're pushing it through.
We had to do that if we needed to find stuff
That
out.
was it. Like, otherwise, how are
We
you
didn't
going to
have
find
Google.
it?
We were old school.
I never had to use that.
But we're going to say the same thing about Google. Like, we used to have to Google things and read multiple web pages before figuring it out, whereas AI just gives it to you.
So true.
Welcome to the Intergenerational Summer Series of the Seacoast podcast. In this 9-week series, you'll hear a variety of opinions and convictions on subjects like technology, AI, church unity despite political differences, parenting, cultural issues, and everyday life. 3 groups, each of similar ages, record 3 times each to discuss the same topics. They'll listen in on one another's conversations, reflect on what they hear, and chime in on how their own experiences have shaped their views. As you'll soon hear, though, despite some age-related chemistry in each group, everyone has their own opinions on the issue. The common ground they all share: all 3 groups are connected by humanity as a given, their faith in a redeeming God, and a desire to follow Jesus. I'm Lynn Stroy, one of the hosts of the podcast, and today you'll hear from our hybrid group made of 2 Millennials and 2 Gen Xers. Host of the podcast, Joey Svensson, was born in 1977, making him a young Gen X. I personally was born in 1980, making me the youngest possible age for Gen X. This generation was born between 1965 and 1980, making us now 45 to 60 years old. Gen Xers are known for their independence, skepticism, resilience, and adaptability. The latchkey generation, largely self-reliant, often sandwiched between louder generations, quietly pragmatic. They bridge analog and digital life without much fanfare. Millennials were born between 1981 and 1996, aging them between 29 and 44. They are known for their tech fluency, values-driven work, delayed traditional milestones like marriage and home ownership, and they have an intense self-awareness. They grew up during 9/11, the 2008 recession, and the rise of social media. They often wrestle openly with institutional faith and mental health.
What does bother me a little bit about the younger people is that they seem to attach so much of their validation and identity and self-esteem to what they're interacting with on their phones. And, you know, for me, it's more like escape and entertainment. And for them, it's a big part of their, I guess, overall well-being. And I see that as something that's, you know, fleeting and artificial, and it bugs me that it bugs them. And I want to say, no, there's so much more than that.
That was Sean Scapoletto. Sean is a former English and writing teacher who now practices law full-time. He and his wife, Sarah, have been married for 33 years, and they have 2 kids. They've attended Seacoast for over 25 years. An avid reader and writer, Sean hopes to write thrillers one day.
I think the technology is not stable, and the cost is prohibitive. The damage that it does to the environment is destructive. The cost that it requires is not turning a profit. I think we'll look back on AI as one of the biggest mistakes that we invested in as a society.
All right.
You just heard from David Sherdewan. David is a software engineer by day and a game designer by night. He was part of the Seacoast family for over 5 years, mostly during his high school days, and spent his free time reading sci-fi and fantasy novels or playing video games. David once lived on a ship in Africa for over a year, and he now runs a small publishing company with 8 books to his name.
So I didn't get my first iPhone. Then I got my first one. My husband was like, you don't have to print out MapQuest anymore. I was like, I'm still doing it. Wasn't it crazy? Like growing up, your teachers would always be like, it's not like you're going to walk around with a calculator in your pocket. You have to learn this. And now we're like, yes, we literally do.
Yeah. Amy Alderman. Amy is passionate about biblical literacy and has led a women's Bible study since 2009. She and her husband, Dick, have been married for 20 years, and they have 2 daughters. They've been a part of the Seacoast family for over 50 15 years. Amy works as a mortgage loan closer, and in her free time, she loves to build puzzles, especially on Saturdays with her mom.
The number one most desired career is to be an influencer. I only know this because my boss shoves it down my throat. Like, you need more followers, more people listen to the radio. Like, I am against this every day in my job. Have you posted enough? Are you to where I feel almost resentful towards social media, because if I'm not being a good social media influencer, then people aren't listening to my radio show, and that's my livelihood. Even talking to my future stepson, he's like, yeah, I'd love to be a social media, I want to be a YouTuber, and I'm like, oh, there's like so many different things you could do.
And that was Brittany Sparkle. Brittany has called Charleston home for over 20 years. She started her radio career after majoring in theater at the College of Charleston and is currently a radio DJ for 95SX and Classic Hits 96.9. She loves all things entertainment, music, acting, writing, and especially being on the air. On the weekends, you'll find Sparkle at concerts and live music with her friends, volunteering at Seacoast, and hanging out with her family. When she's not working, she's traveling and finding the next "you won't believe this but" moment. What a fun sounding group. So today and next week, it's all about technology and AI. Last week, Gen Z chimed in on the subject, and today it's our Millennial and Gen-X hybrid group. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoy.
All right, so this is part 2 of a 9-part series. We're talking to the Gen Z group 3 times. We're talking to the boomers plus silent generation person. And then we've got 3 recordings with this Gen X millennial group.
Woo woo.
And this is our first recording. We've got Sean Scapoletto, who is in Hilton Head. I'm excited, and then the rest of us are in studio. I'm excited to give my opinions in this one because I'm a Gen X.
Oh my God, you can relate.
All the other groups, I'm like, I don't feel y'all at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Now I'm like, this is family. This is family. All right, so I get to be with one of my best friends, and Amy Alderman, but I'm fond of all of you guys. Sean is one of those friends who is always there, even though we don't hang out. You know, you're there. You've been there for me in really tough seasons, offered a lot of time and legal / professional counsel as a friend, no charge. And I'm afraid I haven't been able to offer you much more in return, but I hope that you're fond of me as a friend.
Are you kidding me? How much time do you have, Joey?
David, I got to have him in youth group at Seacoast West Ashley. He was one of those top of the line kids that you just couldn't help. You were just a leader, man. You're a good dude.
I'll give you $20 after this show.
Yep, I got it. Thank you.
It's a love fest over here.
That was an easy $20. It was horrible.
He was a horrible kid, but we'll keep you on here.
That's right.
And then Sparkle, I have a daughter who's turning 20 and another daughter who's turning 18, and you babysat both of them when they were babies.
I know.
So
when I think about
obviously
it,
like you tons if I entrusted my daughters with you.
I know. And we did so many Seacoast events together too. Like, cause I love the other campuses of Seacoast. So I know that you were doing that for a long time too.
Yeah.
We've been around.
We have. we have. I'm almost sure this is funny talk. I hope it doesn't make you feel awkward at all, but I'm pretty sure we paid you $80 for a full day. My guess would be people would give their right arm to have that rate for one day now. But at the time, we felt like we're paying her $10 an hour for 8 hours. You know, it probably wasn't top of the line pay, but back then.
I mean, I don't know. $80 is like pretty far, but I think the average now is 20 to 25 an hour. I think, and that's like the low end of babysitting.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, it was one day a week, so it was a huge expense for us.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And he has like amazing kids, so it was a very easy job.
Oh, thanks. They are amazing.
They are good.
All right. Well, I want to get everybody's background as far as Seacoast. That's something you all have in common, is that you all have some background with Seacoast. We're going to start with David because you're part of a different church family now. But what's your background at Seacoast? And then tell us a little bit about the church that you're currently a part of. And by the way, it hurt, man. When you left, it broke my heart.
That was the goal. I wanted to crush you personally.
Wow.
I was about to say, is this a traitor talk?
So you wanted to be at Seacoast, but you preferred to crush my heart.
That's right.
Wow.
Sacrifices had to be made.
Wow. Sean, are you hearing this?
Wow. That's brutal, man.
That's brutal.
It still hurts him, so I guess it worked.
You're dead to us now. You're dead to us.
No, I attended Seacoast through most of middle school and a good chunk of high school, and I got involved in Seacoast James Island and helped out on the soundboard. Even back when we did the Terrace Theater, I was helping out with that too.
That's right.
And that was kind of my introduction to like a lot of Christian beliefs as an adult was the Seacoast family.
Yep. Yeah, I remember there was a lot of hesitation with our tech director at Seacoast James Island when I said, hey, I got a guy who's going to run sound, and he's 17 or 16 or something, and he's looking at me like I'm crazy, and he's just like, come on, man, you can't find. I was like, mark my words, we're good to go.
Oh, wow.
And a few weeks into it, he was like, yeah, you were right. You were right.
It was fun.
Sean was the drummer when I started at the West Campus in 2003, but you told me recently that you drummed at the Annex?
Yeah, I go way back.
Dang.
The Annex is a throwback.
Yeah. So when did you start at Seacoast? Do you remember the year?
I do, and it's a pretty harrowing story. We came to a service because 9/11 happened, and we just felt like we needed to get somewhere where we could gather with people. And my good friend Dave said you should come to the service tonight. So we did, and then we never left.
Oh,
so that was 2001, and then I started playing music in 2002 and helped kind of start the West Campus, and then I played a small hand in getting James Island going, and then helped launch John's Island too.
Yeah. Gosh, I totally you were our drummer for a while.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So I did that for 18 years until COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Homeboy wears out those drums.
I was about to say. That's a lot.
Tears those things up. Amy,
I'm retired now.
Yeah, you and I graduated from the same high school. You were a year behind me, but we didn't become close friends until you showed up with your husband. Both of y'all very close friends of mine. Y'all ended up as elders at Seacoast James Island, but it's so crazy that we did not know each other in high school.
And went to the same college.
And part of the problem was you were Miss Popularity and I was on the nerd outskirts of society in high school. It's true. It's absolutely true. So you probably wouldn't have talked to me anyway.
Probably not, but we met at the right time.
Oh, man. And you grew up here, did you? I know you were here in youth group.
No, actually, I volunteered with Ryan and Miss May. And it's really, I call her Miss May because she was my theater teacher. She kind of mentored me and was like, hey, we're doing this thing called, do you remember Kid Stuff?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So I did the acting for that. And that's kind of like that was my gateway drug into Seacoast.
Gotcha.
I did that. And then I started like kind of volunteering. And then I graduated and Ryan was like, hey, you should start volunteering with, it was Groundswell and Nitro then. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like, I did that for almost like 12, 13 years. And then my family was already going on the weekends. So I was kind of part of a youth group of like another church. So I'd do another church on Wednesday and then I'd come here on Sundays. But then once I started volunteering, I just fell in love with Seacoast. And this was the first church my family tried when we moved here when we were 14.
Gotcha.
My mom came home and was like, I didn't even go. She came home and she was like, I found a church full of sinners. I was like, we fit in so well. I was like, So yeah, but through that, I just started volunteering. I worked here for 3 years and then now I lead a Bible study here and I still volunteer, which is really great.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how did you arrive at Sparkle? Because there could not be a more fitting name for you as Sparkle.
Well, okay, so
because you're sparkly.
Even your hair.
I did. I have the tinsel in my hair today,
Beautiful.
but this is every day. I was on a mission trip to South Africa because I was an intern here for a hot minute for 1 semester. And at the end of the 6 months, you had to go on like a mission trip. And we were down in South Africa and the missionary would introduce me as Sparkle Spice. And she was like, you're the 6th Spice Girl. And every third world country is usually about 15, 20 years behind. So Spice Girls were actually still so huge. And so all the people were like, we would laugh about it. And I had these glitter scarves I wore on my head every day because you're not really bathing. And I had glitter on every single day. So then it shortened to Sparkle. And then when I came back, she was like, you sparkle on the inside and out. That has to be your name. Like that. And I was like, that's the best compliment. And so I came back and I told Scott Kenny at the time, he was about to be my boss, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna exclusively call you that now."
That's awesome.
And then it just I was 21, and then when I got into radio, it was so much easier to have like a niche already built in. So yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so what did y'all think? And it'll be really awkward if you were like, it was unengaging, and I'm surprised you picked those 4 Gen Zers. What did y'all think of Layla, Hayes, Abel, and Alan? So they cover about a 10-year span. Before y'all tell me what y'all thought about those guys, let's see. We carry it's a much larger span because we've got Millennial and Gen X. Sean, you were born in 1970, right?
Right.
And then who's the youngest out of these two?
I'm at 87.
87.
91.
What?
91.
Oh, 91.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a 21-year span of representation here. What y'all think about those youngsters? They're pretty impressive kiddos, huh?
Some of them had some really mature views, especially about the social media and when you should get on it. I was like, I kind of agree with that. But also social media wasn't a part of our lives until I was a lot older. So, but I thought they were really good. Is Alan the one that was the oldest?
Yes.
You could tell.
Yeah.
As he was talking, I was like, he's the oldest one.
Yeah. And I think he kind of felt, him and Hayes were close in age.
Oh, okay.
So Layla and Abel are the 2 high schoolers. And then the other 2 are closer in age for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Sean, do you enjoy listening to those youngsters? They make you feel old?
Oh yeah, I do. I feel very old because they could be my children, but I was very impressed. I thought that they were especially insightful, and I think you pulled that out of them. But they've got a lot to say, and I think that they were spot on, especially about navigating this social media world. Because some of that stuff I was really surprised by, as far as what affects people and how important a role it plays, but then, finding the balance and so on. I thought they were sharp on that.
I was very impressed with my selections. I was very impressed with myself. You guys make me impressed again, please.
Oh.
All right.
Well, and I like how you started it and you said, okay, so you guys, you're brats, you're lazy. That's what millennials got. I don't know if you remember this. You're the snowflake. Nothing can hurt. Like, you're such a baby. I screamed when I heard that. I was like, that's what we got too. We're the snowflakes. So I'm glad you said that.
That's cool. I'm actually going to give you guys some space, I think, in recording 3 to defend the stereotypes against your generation. All of our stereotypes are positive. Everybody thinks Gen X is awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
is Gen X my parents? Is that my parents?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
Pretty
stereotypes
sure.
are stereotypes for a reason.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the youngins before we move on? Good. All right, so we're going to play agree or disagree and then a round of remember when. So, agree or disagree. And I want y'all to be completely honest. I'm sharing my personal experience. When I got an iPhone for the first time, I was dumbfounded. I was like, I cannot believe a device can be so intuitive. This is before AI, so it really wasn't. But it's like, it almost knows what I want to do. And I just could not believe it. Like, kids with iPhones right now who basically grew up with them, you got to realize it was a big deal to have something like that in your hand when it had never been invented before. It was unbelievable. So I may be making myself sound very silly, but what was y'all's experience? Blown away by the iPhone? And were you probably in high school?
No, I didn't get it till college.
Okay.
But yeah, I got an iPhone 4 and I could not bring it out in public enough. I could not walk around and be like, what? I could not say, do you want me to look it up on the internet on my phone? Like, I could not talk about it enough. I loved my iPhone 4.
Mr. Techie over here, how about you?
I did not get a smartphone until junior year of college. And I've always owned an Android.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, anything along these lines. Yeah. So were you, when you had your first one, were you kind of amazed or?
The thing that blew me away the most was the GPS.
Okay.
I remember I was driving somewhere and it redirected me because it said there's an accident ahead. I said, how does it know?
Yeah.
And I went and Googled it, and there's so many smartphones on the road, it sees all those smartphones slow down, and it knows there's an accident. And so it redirects all the other traffic.
I did not know what the magic was.
I know, because I was a MapQuest girl.
Oh my gosh.
They had to print it out. So when it was on your iPhone, you're like, this is the future.
Yeah.
Listen, so I didn't get my first iPhone until I was already like working. Like it's been in the last 15 years.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, like I waited forever. That's wild. And
That is.
then I got my first one, and I remember like my husband was like, you don't have to print out MapQuest anymore. I was like, I'm still doing it. You never know. And he was like, let go.
Print out MapQuest.
Did you want to keep riding a horse and buggy too?
What did you feed your dinosaur?
No, but wasn't it crazy? Like growing up, your teachers would always be like, it's not like you're going to walk around with the calculator in your pocket. You have to learn this. And now we're like, yes, we literally do.
It absolutely is what we were having in our pocket.
Sean, what about you? The elder statesman of the group. You're 7 years older than me, so.
Yeah, I was such a sucker. I was thinking about it. I think I was 35, and Roy Jakes and I were in a small group together, and he pulled out the iPhone 3 and played a YouTube video, and I almost fell out of my chair. I was like, how can you do that?
That's the third. That's
the third generation.
Sean really was on the ball with this technology. How does it do that?
I'm still amazed that I can, type something into my phone and then the TV changes on Netflix,
That is.
And so, I'm a sucker.
Yeah. All right. So agree or disagree, Facebook is pretty much owned by Gen X and Millennials. That's where we learn social media. Some of us MySpace, but that wasn't around for too long. And it once was really, really awesome. Like
when it was college only. That's what I said. That's when it was cool.
Well, I'm talking when it was mainly about sharing pictures of your family and, hey, I just got back from a family reunion. Here's a bunch of pictures. Or even hey, I could really use a hand. My car broke down. It really felt like in the early stages, like a grassroots online community where and now I literally use it as a directory to look people up, and then I will post things on there and probably look at the comments and likes and stuff. If I post stuff about my kids, I always want to see sweet things that people see about the kids, but I think Facebook is just horrible now.
But you said Gen X? Like, you don't think it's more of a boomer thing?
What?
I feel like, oh wait, my parents are Gen X. I was about to say, because I feel like my parents, and they were born in 61 and 62. Is that still Gen X?
61 and 62.
Yeah, because I feel like they are on Facebook. I'm the one that's like, can you be off your phone for a little bit?
See, I feel that Gen X, we just took over Facebook, and then the millennials just followed suit, but then the boomers were like, oh, let me check this Facebook out thing, and 5 years in.
Yeah.
And, I love the things that boomers would do, and I really mean this in a lighthearted, I hope it doesn't sound disparaging, but the funny things that boomers would do, for example, your name is on everything that you post, and there's one guy from our church who would always sign off. I'm like, we know it was you.
Like a letter, sincerely.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Right. Sean, did you like Facebook? Did you think it was awesome, or didn't really take to social media, or what?
I loved it. I thought it was incredible. I was connecting to high school friends that I hadn't talked to in years. And you're right. Back then, it was more or less a way to communicate and share in people's lives more so than it is now. But yeah, I agree. I don't think that my kids don't even use it anymore.
Right. It will die unless it reinvents itself in a way that's appealing to younger generations.
It's got to get out with the ads. I think that's what killed me. Because every other scroll is like 5 ads in a row. Like if I didn't have it for my radio career, that would have been the very first thing I would have gotten rid of is Facebook. Yeah. But I have to have our little page.
Yeah.
So.
Now, when did y'all get your first Facebook? Because y'all are teenagers when it's really making its
2016 for me.
I was I was 19, but we had to get a petition signed for our college. Because that was back when you had to get 200 signatures.
Oh, yeah.
So we were walking around being like, there's this thing called Facebook, and a lot of big colleges are on it. I went to try it in tech first before I went to College Charleston. And you had to go around and then you had to submit it to Facebook. And then they would allow you to do it. Yeah.
2009.
I didn't know that.
Was when I got mine.
Yeah. I would say I was like 19, I think.
Gotcha.
Because I was a part of that, like, yeah, I'll sign it. This looks
And you
so
were
cool.
18, 19?
Yeah.
So were y'all fascinated with it? Like, did y'all like, man, this is really neat?
So I was pretty technologically savvy. And so I was more interested in like forums, nerdy websites, blogs.
This was for posers.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, and Facebook was where like my grandma and my parents were.
Right.
So
Really? Okay. See,
it
I
was-
thought so millennials see it as old fashioned. Gotcha.
I do.
Gotcha.
Because a lot of my friends were on Discord or AIM
Gotcha.
or yeah.
Okay. I bet you that's not the norm. I would imagine a lot of millennials, it's kind of like that was our thing too.
Yeah. I'm a very special boy.
You're an outlier.
Do you see Facebook as that was my thing too?
Yeah, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I mean, you go out one night and you'd post 200 pictures the next day, and everybody's like, best thing ever. And you're all commenting. And I did feel really close to my friends, the far away ones and the ones that were like in my college and in my city. And for a while, it felt like a little club. And I loved when it was just college because I was just like, these are just my friends. Like my parents didn't see anything. Now it's like every post, I'm like, what would my dad say about this? Like, and he has been like, I saw your last post. He'll say that. It's like, Dad, now I want to like not friend you anymore.
All right.
Joey, I think there's a segment of people who like maybe started on Facebook and then sort of like migrated over to Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And that interesting thing about Instagram is it has connected all the generations.
But it's owned by Facebook.
Yeah. But
What do you mean connected? Like, what do you mean?
like my kids are on it. My kids see it as something they want to be on. They're Gen Z.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they would never be on Facebook. Never will be. But Instagram is right up there for them with Snapchat as far as its
Really?
use. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would say TikTok.
Oh yeah, TikTok.
Yeah.
But TikTok is more video and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I sound really old with what I just said.
There's more video and all that
Then
stuff.
move-
Wait a second. The
pictures.
tickety talk is.
That's what my papa says.
It's a talkie, Joey. It's like talkie.
Oh, bless your heart.
All right, I'm going to share 4 quick remember wins, and then I'm going to let you guys share one as well. I'll go through these super quickly, but I did realize that when I was growing up, I'll speak for Amy and I, we did not have digital pictures, so the amount of pictures that our kids have of their childhood far exceeds ours, but our parents have even less. But what you and I definitely don't have are tons of videos. Do you know how awesome it would be to have videos of our freshman year in college with all of our friends and moving in? We don't have any. Not a thing. And our kids go off to college, they're going to have all of that on their phone. They get to, so videos is something that we don't have of like, the only reason why I have childhood videos of me is because my uncle bought a camcorder that he was 800 pounds and cost like $5,000, and he would bring it to family gatherings. And so I have those videos of me at family gatherings. Landlines. So people, if you didn't want people to call you, all you had to do is take that phone off the hook, is what you call it. Hey, I'm taking a nap. Please take the phone off the hook. But then you'd have to put it in a drawer because otherwise you'd hear that dang, 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 dang. It's like a noise that went when you had the phone off the hook too long. But then I also had phone numbers memorized, and I could still rattle off tons of phone numbers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, my best friend in elementary school. The microfiche. So do y'all know what that is?
No.
What?
Whoa. See, that's
What is a microfiche?
That's where millennials and Gen X
dead.
have a distinction. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right, Sean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was microfilm before that.
Okay.
Oh, I know what microfilm is.
Okay. So my friend and I in college were arguing over how a basketball ended. He said it was a 3-pointer. I said, no, it was not. We walk to the library and we go to the microfiche. So we look up newspaper articles around the time of March Madness. We knew the year that game was played. And so we have to find the newspaper batch of newspapers that would have possibly been during the time. And then we just start we put it in like a cartridge, then it blows up the newspaper. and you just scroll through it. Oh, and keep scrolling.
Wait, like on a true crime episode? I saw this on like a very first season of CSI.
Yes, they're on
the
those.
little things that it's like white and you're pushing it through.
We had to do that if we needed to find stuff
That was it. Like, otherwise, how are
We
you
didn't
going to
have
find
Google.
it?
We were old school.
I've never had to use that.
All the
But we're going to say
projects.
the same thing about Google. Like, we used to have to Google things and read multiple web pages before figuring it out, whereas AI just gives it to you.
So true. So
That's true.
And then my last one is how cool high-speed dubbing used to be. So if you had a tape and you're like, oh, you have the new Bon Jovi, well, I've got a blank tape. Let me high-speed dub it. So it was illegal, but you could buy boom boxes with two different cassette tape intakes, and instead of just pushing play on one of them and record on the other, and then have to sit there for a whole album to go through, you could do it in high speed. So you would hear it all too. It was the greatest. All right, take us back, Sean. What's one thing that some of these young folks may not have any context for that the four of us would, or maybe just me and Amy?
Well, this is a silly story, but it's true, and it's kind of funny. My wife and I, we're really bad about watching a movie and then trying to figure out what the actors have been in, what other stuff they've been in. And back in the day, we would get in arguments, and so we would call Blockbuster, and we would ask them, hey, was so-and-so in this movie? And they would say, hang on a minute. And they'd run to the wall.
Stop it.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And they would come back and they knew us. We would call, we say, yeah, it's us again. And so that was how it was sort of a pre-IMDb sort of thing. But
Wild.
What you didn't know is when y'all hung up, they're like, why are they calling us? Why do they think that we are the know-it-alls of movies? Don't they know that it's a Friday night and we're trying to help customers?
yeah.
That's
exactly.
awesome.
They thought we were nuts.
That's awesome. Amy, what about you? What's one thing that comes to mind?
I remember, like the card catalog. I did a lot of research and like a lot of papers and everything, and it was not uncommon. I grew up going to church at Citadel Square on Marion Square, and that was when the library was like right there. So, I would be done with church and then like walk across the street in high school and like spend the afternoon there going through the card catalog and going and find books and sit down and like take your notes from that so you could go home and write a ridiculous paper. And literally having I thought it was like the coolest thing in high school. We got an electric typewriter.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what?
A typewriter.
Electric typewriter. Like, are you kidding me? I was like, what?
I learned my keyboarding class sophomore year typewriter.
Still?
Typewriter.
I would have thought that.
We had computer labs, but not for keyboarding.
Okay.
Yeah.
No Mavis Beacon for you?
Yeah.
Like, Oregon Trail? Are you kidding? That was like everything.
It still is.
I know. Oregon Trail came back real quick.
I died every time. Like, it was like 4 minutes in. My teacher was like, you can't make it. I'm like, I have dysentery constantly. Like, I can't.
Completely died.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
Did I cut you off or? Okay. All right. I actually am really curious what you guys would say because I think of y'all as much younger than me. So I don't know what you would think would be something that a younger generation would not have context for in y'all's lived experience.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I remember going to the video store and desperately hoping they were not out of a video. Because modern technology, you're never short on anything. You can listen to any music, buy any movie, watch anything you want.
Yeah.
But I remember going to the video store and there'd be 3 or 4 stacks of VHSs and they'd be gone.
Yes.
Like a whole shelf of the new Die Hard movie is missing. And it's like, I guess we're watching Christmas with the Cranks again.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't have context for Blockbuster, how you would know that they don't have them is basically what they did is they had the cover of the movie up front, and then on the back was the actual plastic casing of the actual VHS that you would take home and actually play. So you could walk up to the wall and be like, oh my gosh, there's none of the big plastic casings behind the covers, and you could spot it immediately. But then would you check up front to see if anybody had just turned it in?
Yeah, I did that too.
I'll also add in, you could rent Nintendo and Sega Genesis video game consoles from Blockbuster for like 3 days.
My remember when was AOL AIM. That was my
yeah.
life.
AIM was the best.
It was the crafting of the away messages. You don't understand the amount of time I put into that to be so dramatic with song lyrics and just like everything on my heart. So, and I would have like window in the front. That was your main friend. And then you're doing all the side conversations. I liked it because I could talk to like 10 people at once.
Yeah.
100%.
And I look forward to every single day after school. And it got to the point where my dad would be like, okay, just 2 hours of AIM today. That's it. Because I would clog up the line because it was dial up. And my dad would be like, people need to call the house. And I'm like, I need to talk to my friends.
Now, I'm curious if you'll be surprised by this. I have no idea what you're even talking about.
AOL Instant Messenger?
No, I know that,
Joey.
but not AIM.
That was
Oh!
that was the like cool phrase.
I didn't put it. I thought you were saying AOL's AIM, and I was like,
Sorry.
You're just going back and forth with it, and I'm slow.
Okay, I apologize.
That was the problem.
That was like what the cool kids called it. I apologize. AIM, AOL wins the messenger.
But I don't have like what you described. I never did.
You didn't do any instant messaging? Oh,
No.
It's like the precursor of texting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do any of that?
Please.
Okay. So Sean
said no. He's shaking his head.
Yeah, Sean, Amy, and myself, I know for a fact we remember an age when none of this existed. None of it. Not even remnants of it. We have that memory stored. Do you guys have clear memories of none of this existing? Because y'all would have had to have been very young, right?
I want to say I was like, when I really remembered it being a big deal is when I was like 7th grade. That's when people were like, oh, the internet. Like people were doing web pages. And so I want to say like 4th and 5th grade, I don't remember doing any of it.
Okay.
Like we were still going to the library, checking out the encyclopedia, photocopying it, putting it in our reports. So I would say 4th, 5th grade.
Y'all really are getting old.
I know.
Y'all really
Yeah,
are.
I would say 3rd grade was when our family got like a family computer that was in the living room that had
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was like 6th grade. Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh.
I'm so jealous right now.
Wait, when did you get the internet or remember?
Wait, that computer had an internet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See, our first computer,
Oh,
it was just a
no.
word processor.
So, like,
It
what did you
cost
do with it?
$2,000.
Yeah.
What did
Write
you?
reports.
But like that was it.
That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Like
you
had the
Type stuff up.
dot matrix
You didn't play
printer.
video games, Joey,
Well, I mean, Sega Genesis and Nintendo.
but not on the computer.
Nope. No.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. All right, Sean, we're going to start with you on this one, and we're starting to get into the meat of the more serious discussion. I told the Gen Zers that I'm part to blame with this sort of sentiments. It's like, man, these young kids, they don't know what it's like to be on, not on a device. And I do think there are some distinct differences with people that grow up into that. But I find that phone addiction is not something that's just common in Gen Zers. In fact, I see it being just as high in boomers. And I think it's because they're retired. And why not go to your phone? It's fun. There's tons of stuff to look at. There's games to play. I don't blame them. But I do think it's comical when we think, oh man, you're growing up and it's such a different world. And it's like, we're doing the same things that we're looking at them. Now, I will say that I try not to fall into what I find what I would call excessive use. Like I'm trying to mitigate that in my own life, but I don't see it as just a young person problem, the social media and the phone addiction and all that. What do you think about that, Sean, when I told those kiddos that?
I agree. I think my peer group is in some ways just as bad. And I think we've fallen victim to the algorithm. Like for whatever reason, if I'm on Facebook or Instagram, it knows I really like drum videos. And so and here they come, and you go down that rabbit hole. But what does bother me a little bit about the younger people is that they seem to attach so much of their validation and identity and self-esteem to what they're interacting with on their phones. And, for me, it's more like escape and entertainment. And for them, it's a big part of their, I guess, overall well-being. And
Good
I
point.
see that as something that's, fleeting and artificial, and it bugs me that it bugs them. And I want to say, no, there's so much more than that, than likes or things like that. So, but my, we go out with friends, and some of them, you can't pry them off their phones. And I'm like, come on, let's have a conversation, man, but I'm in the mix too. I'm not entirely innocent of it.
That's such a good point, though, that I bet you the identity connection is way less common the older you get. Very much. The main issue is just the wanting to be on it all the time.
Yeah, and I agree with you, especially like when I look at my daughters, more the younger than the older. I have one who's 27 and 19, so more my 19-year-old than my 27-year-old. But like you said, for us, it'll be like, play a game or look up information and, maybe go down a rabbit hole with something, and then like you can put it down. I don't go to dinner and just, stay on my phone or whatever. But so it's more like escape entertainment or like get information. But like for young kids, they're like Snapchatting to talk. Like it's not even like you just text or go show up, or like sometimes they would have like friends over like to spend the night, and they're all sitting in the room making no noise. So you're like, oh, there's no noise. Like somebody must be doing something bad. Like what are they doing? And you go in and they're all texting, and I'm like, and they're all laughing. And did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep, I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, we're like Snapchatting each other. I'm like, in this same room?
I kind of used to do that.
Yeah.
Like, see, that's like wild to me.
Yeah.
The millennials are like, of course, what's wrong with that?
You always text in the same room if you want to have a side convo that you can't have. I'll be like, do you need to check your phone? And then your friends are like, I'll be like, I cannot believe she just said that. And I'm just like going off on my end, but.
It's just weird. I feel like the older you are, it's more escapism or entertainment. And the younger you are, it's just woven into the DNA of everything.
Yeah. What do you think as far as intergenerationally, is this an issue?
I think that for a lot of folks, younger or especially folks who don't have a lot of communities locally, social media is real. It's easy to think of like something that we engage in and then disengage in, but social media is like another layer of reality almost. And so I remember sometimes I'll make a post, and throughout the day I'll be thinking, I wonder if anybody liked that. I wonder if anybody's commented on that yet. And so even though physically it's just a one-time 5-minute interaction, it takes up space in my brain. And I'm thinking like, what am I going to post later? Will somebody like my comment? Or, what am I going to respond to my friend who said something really dumb online? And so I think that's not necessarily a generational divide, but it is something that is different than just, oh, this is an activity that I do for an hour a day. Mm-hmm. It's something that is constantly taking up space in the brain, especially for younger kids where that's a lot of interaction and it carries a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. It's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're really you said something about validation and identity. I can definitely, like, FOMO is my Achilles heel and has always been. I can almost pinpoint when I started feeling like that, and it was MySpace and Zanga, if you remember Zanga. Do you remember Zanga?
I don't.
It was an online diary that people could comment on, and I used to write about my theater practices at Wando. And I remember one of the girls that had the part that I wanted was getting more attention. And immediately I was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And then that started this whole, we're talking a 10-year journey of fear of missing out. And I think that 90% is because of social media. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I did delete Snapchat, was because I would see other people's stories and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're hanging out. Why wasn't I invited? What was that? And the less I am on social media, the less that has a stronghold in my life. And so I really try to limit it. And that is so, my job, I have to be on it 24/7 because I'm a radio DJ, but it's like, you have to be so emotionally strong now to not have that with social media. So I did struggle with it for a while. And it was really crazy. It really wasn't the body image thing. It was more like, why are they hanging out?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
The way
that had to be so hard. I've seen it in my kids, that's so hard.
I was going to say, the way that our generation talks about social media is the same way that like we talk about alcohol, where we're like, oh, I'll have a glass of wine. That's not a big deal. But I don't want to go too much. No, I've got to drive home later. Like there's almost this inherent, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway, as like a guilty pleasure thing.
And you think that's common with
I think that's common with our generation, where even we're like, I use social media, but I only do it socially.
Yeah.
Like, I only do it on the weekends.
You're like, oh, I do an hour, but if you go an hour and a half, you're just ridden. Like if I do it more than a half an hour, 45 minutes before I go to bed, I'm ridden with guilt.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I should have been reading.
Yep.
This is going to mess up my REM. Like it's like all of this. And so
Absolutely.
I don't see that in Gen Z or Gen Alpha, honestly. They're just like, I mean, that's because, I mean, they have Chromebooks and all of that, and so much of the internet is like a part of their reality that social media is the social part of now their reality. Mm-hmm. And so some people are completely different people on social media.
Yeah, I think the ship has sailed beyond y'all's age group. There's no... I mean, you can tell them, look, it's just not good for you to be on your phone for so long, but the ship has sailed. It's like evolutionarily. I don't even know if that's a word. Evolutionarily.
No, evolutionary, yeah.
Like something's going to have to change in the human brain, I think, to accommodate what's happening in technology, not the other way around.
Well, think about like this huge source of income now with like being an influencer, you know, and like younger and younger people are like, oh, I have 5,000 friends. That's the number one
most desired career in middle school and high schoolers right now.
Yep.
Is to be an influencer. I only know this because my boss shoves it down my throat. Like, you need more followers, more people listen to the radio. Like, I am against this every day in my job. Have you posted enough? Are you to where I feel almost resentful towards social media, because if I'm not being a good social media influencer, then people aren't listening to my radio show, and that's my livelihood. So it's like I have a maybe even a little bit different one than people even in my own like sphere doing it, because some people are like, oh, just don't post, and I'm like, no. I'll have 3 bosses come in and be like, you didn't do a TikTok today, and I'm like, ugh. So it's definitely like a hard line, but that is very true. I just heard that. And even talking to my future stepson, my boyfriend's son, he's like, yeah, I'd love to be a social media. I want to be a YouTuber. And I'm like, oh, there's like so many different things that you could do.
Well, give your handle to everybody. You might as well.
Sparkle Speaks. That's my Instagram. And my TikTok is Sparkle, Sparkle, Sparkle.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.
Sean, how do you feel about I'd love for everybody to take a second, chime in on this one. How do you feel about your balance when it comes to phone use, and how do you feel about your ability to be bored?
I love the fact that I can say this and mean it. I'm never bored. Never. And if I were, it's my own fault. And, but back to balance, I just found that when I was younger, it happened naturally. Like I was always a reader, and so I was reading constantly. And now I find I have to be more proactive about, okay, set the phone down, read a book for a little bit, work on a project or something, but get off the phone. And I find that if I don't do that, then the balance gets kind of off. And I guess the way I used to measure it is I always, ever since I got out of college, I've always tried to read a certain number of books a year, and kind of track my progress. And I found that as I've gotten older and my phone's become more part of my life, that I wasn't reading as much. And so I think I have to try to be more deliberate about it. So it's like a work in progress. But it is something that if I didn't work on it, I'd probably be on my phone constantly, like never setting it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody next?
About being bored?
Well, or that, and just how are you satisfied with your current phone habits? I'd say for me, I do like the fact that I can just sit there in just a space and think and just relax and not have to have something entertaining me. I can sit in those spaces, and I think that they're super helpful for me, but I have to intentionally do them. And I'd say I'm pretty satisfied. Like I would not say I'm always on my phone. I'd say I'm pretty happy with how I am in social settings. Like I'm not going to be on my phone when I have the opportunity to actually talk to people. I'd say, I could still probably be excessive using it at night when it's probably not the best time to use it because your body needs to be shutting down. That'd probably be the biggest area of needed improvement for me is, scrolling through Instagram and stuff at night. And that's, you You need to shut that down at least an hour before you plan on going to sleep. And I don't think I'd do that as a practice. So you guys, you three?
I'm going to kind of jump on what Sean was saying in that I'm never bored. Part of that's healthy, like hobbies, connecting with friends, watching like YouTube videos about different topics that interest me. But also, I can always be playing music. I can always be watching some TV or YouTube show. And so I think the struggle for me is, how do I spend my time? And I don't think the phone is necessarily a bad way to invest your time, but I definitely have been on a quest to use it less. I picked up journaling. I developed a fountain pen addiction.
My sister just did that.
He showed it to me before we started. He's like, I heard you like crafts. Do you want to see my fountain pen?
That's
Oh,
right.
you collect fountain pens?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
What brand is it?
This is a Coeco Brass Sport.
You're so cool.
Thanks.
Honestly, that is cool.
Oh, I want to see that. Yeah.
See?
Next time.
Next time, Sean. But I do think I wish I'd started that journey earlier.
Yeah.
I definitely think that at night, like you said, I feel a certain sense of guilt when I'm on for longer than a time. I do have a lot of hobbies. I like to craft, but I have noticed that I will craft with a book on tape. Like, I'll let it go. A book on tape. Okay, that just aged me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll do like an audiobook or a podcast or like a show on in the background, and I'm still doing my analogness. And that is something that I'm like, okay, could I do this in silence? And I have crafted in silence, and I've been like working on my journals, but there's like this part of me that craves something else playing. And I'm like, what is that about? And to me, I'm like, well, even if it's not a screen, is it like, if I have to have music playing or I have to have a podcast or an audiobook, am I getting the same of what this analog activity should be doing? But I definitely do feel like my screen time is heavy, and I actually deactivated the screen time feature on iPhone because I hate being reminded. So I literally was like, you get out of my business. And
Ignorance is bliss.
that's what I was like, I probably do like 30 minutes a day, maybe. So far from the truth. But I'm working on the night thing. That's the one thing I'm working on too, is I really want to shut down an hour before. But man, it's hard.
I have a book that I only read at night.
That's
Like,
smart.
I'll buy a book and I'm like, I only read this for an hour before bed. And that gets
That's
me
a
engaged.
good idea. I'm going to put that in my notes.
Are you
app.
like on the couch, or do you go ahead and get in bed so you can like
I have a
zone
little
out?
night light.
I love that.
Do you have a little night hat?
No.
And some pajamas?
You're
We're not
so
talking about
dumb.
my bedtime ritual anymore.
It's like, what are you wearing? I'm just kidding.
Just don't ask me what I'm reading.
Oh, yeah.
I'm crazy too much. Like during the day, not so much. Like at work and everything, my phone's there, but I don't really deal with it at all. But it is in the evenings, and it's both my girls are grown and kind of living their own lives, and yeah, I mean, I'm ridiculous. There's a game that I've been playing for like years, and the other night I was like, I just broke 10,000, and Dick's like, you have played 10,000 levels on that game, and I was like, right, that's not weird. It's weird.
I didn't know there was any game with 10,000 levels.
I'm way over now.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
proud
on,
of you.
I
I'm
have
proud of
one
you.
that I've been doing since 2009, and I am on 2,580 something of it, and I am so proud of it.
Wow.
And when I switched iPhones, first thing I said was, does that score transfer over? It was the very first thing I said, and he goes, hold on, and I go, do not touch this phone until I get my 2-dot score. It's my favorite game.
Now, is it something that you think, oh, I need to correct this, or you're fine with it,
I definitely think I spend too much time in the evenings just like the scrolling, or we watch, like if we're watching a TV show, like it's our show, like, oh, we're gonna watch this now. I can't even just watch the show, like I'm playing a game the whole time. You know what I mean? My husband Dick has gotten really bad. This drives me crazy. If we're eating dinner, he's on his phone. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just put it down. Like, you can eat. Like, how are you managing this? Like, put it down. And I'm not that bad. I know I'm not that bad. I can put it down. And if I'm in a social situation, I'm not always checking my phone. I mean, there's lots of times where people are like, I tried to call you like 100 times. And I'm like, I'm not looking at that if I'm with people. But in the evening when I'm just at home is
I think that's more of a millennial thing and a Gen Z or Gen X thing, is when we are present with our friends, it's a big deal for me and my family and my friends. But Gen Z is very okay with answering a text message or a phone call in a social situation. And that makes, like that, this is the reason why I don't have an iWatch or, sorry, whatever that's called, because I cannot be that connected. And because if I was talking and it was beeping 24/7, and that has been my biggest pet peeve with the younger generation. I'm like, you cannot be on it for 1 minute and talk and have an actual conversation. But I do try. Somebody's like, oh, I just texted you. And I'm like, well, I was with my friends. Like, let me hang out, you know? Yeah.
But I think that goes back to that idea of this is a layer of reality that is constantly taking up space.
Yeah.
And when they hear the ping, it could be a friend just going through something difficult and wants them to respond. Could be that a friend had something really great happen and they want to know about it first. Could be there's some event they got invited to that if they don't respond, they'll miss out. It like spikes anxiety and engagement. Just that bing.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're also like, there's good and bad with that. It's a different level of reality that can be very good, but then can also be stress inducing.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent. I have a lot of online communities and I play video games with people who are not in the room with me. And I think a lot of that can be really, really healthy, but it can also be something that distracts you from your immediate reality.
Do you have a distinction personally in people that you fellowship and are friends with in person versus online?
I value in person a lot more, but there are some connections online that I try to maintain. Like maybe we'll chat once or twice a month, but for in person, I like to see my friends, every weekend.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, so I talked to the Gen Zers about this as far as the analogy of smoking cigarettes. So, basically there was a time when nobody thought it was unhealthy. And then all of a sudden it was, oh, these cause cancer. And now fast forward decades and most people don't smoke. Used to
vapes are on the rise.
That's true. Yeah. That is very true.
There's also an anti-vape thing
That's
on
true.
the rise
Right.
as well.
That's true.
So.
But society's self-corrected when it comes to cigarettes. And do you guys think that the unhealthy part of social media and technology and phone use, do you think society will ever self-correct that? I think there's some Gen Zers, they actually talked about in the last episode of how they think people are really cool who don't have smartphones. Like they're like, wow, that's awesome. And I think they also value the time where they don't have their phone. I think it's one of those things where they want it, but then when they don't have it, that's happened to William, my son, before. Like when we've taken his phone away, he's like, I would have been on my phone a lot more, but I'm glad that I didn't have it because I feel way more fulfilled with how I spent my day.
But the problem is they won't put it down. It's a punishment. And then they might feel freer of it or lighter of it. And you might admire, like, Susie doesn't, that's an old school name, Susie. Susie doesn't, she's not constantly in that. Like, she's got good balance, like, good for her. But because so many people want to be influencer as a job, I don't think it's going to self-correct. And I don't think smoking is self-corrected. I think it just takes a different form. So it's the vaping has completely replaced that. And for the most part, I just think it's always something else.
Is it an addiction type thing? Because I just heard a commercial on a radio station about a lawyer who's trying to get, like, hey, is your kid addicted to TikTok? There's a huge lawsuit right now, actually, with Facebook and Instagram. Huge, that if they win, it will be $bazillion payout to, are they purposely knowing that kids are becoming addicted? Is that the same as the cigarettes being addicted? Because it probably is lighting up the same thing in your brain.
Huge.
Is it the same?
I would argue, yes.
Dopamine.
Yeah. The dopamine hit, you said? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the algorithm is designed to incentivize engagement. And they'll do that by showing you things that you like, things that make you angry, whatever it takes to keep you focused.
I mean, think about just like even listening to podcasts. If you're not like a patron where you're subscribing and paying or whatever, you'll hear them constantly say, okay, I need you to go in, like, subscribe, leave a comment. On Facebook, people will say, don't just like it, heart it, do some kind of engagement, like say something on there to help my algorithm. And like words that were never a part of our vernacular are just like algorithm. You know what I mean? Like nobody walked around and they were like, well, on social media, the algorithm, I need you to do this. Like nobody knew what that was.
Like when Instagram used to be chronological. That was a hot topic I saw on like a Reddit thing. Like what happened? Because it used to be you could scroll in real
Or friends
time.
only people you're following.
Yeah, or it would be like somebody posted something at 7:00 and you saw it maybe at 9, whereas now you might not even see that post, which is interesting. Yeah.
Sean, what do you think about society self-correcting? I'm kind of with the general consensus that people are going to just have to learn how to be healthy in a different sort of world that is here and coming upon us. I just don't think that we self-correct in any way of saying no to technology.
No. The only way out is through, and that might not even be a good analogy, but I think you're right that it'll always be something else, and digital engagement is never going to go away. So I think we have to change and adapt, because what do they say? Like, we are the product of these algorithms, and they are designed to addict us. And I think that I feel it when I sit down and 2 hours later, I'm like, what just happened? I just watched all these videos. And so I think we have to change ourselves to adjust to what's happening in the world with these things, because there are good and bad things. And, like, I play games too, but I've been feeling guilty. So now I'm trying to do the New York Times crossword puzzle and Wordle and, things that are smart games, ease the guilt. So I think that it's always going to be what it is. And then we have to change in how we engage and interact with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go back to that alcohol comparison. In some circles, people who don't drink alcohol at all are seen as kind of weird, or maybe that's too extreme. People who drink alcohol too much are seen as unsafe or unhealthy. And so where that middle line is different for everybody. But in general, I think a lot of people know that alcohol is unhealthy, and there needs to be some kind of moderation.
That's really good how you lay
I
that
love
out.
that analogy.
And so I do think social media, my girlfriend just got a brick, which locks your phone after a certain amount of time.
I've been thinking about getting one of those.
Yeah, so I think there are tools out there for people who do want to limit it and take more control over those things, just like, AA meeting.
All of y'all have been doing such a great job, but I think you just became the MVP of this recording with that one.
Wow.
With that one, Buster.
Dang it.
We'll start with you, Sean. When do you think kids should get cell phones? Your kids are grown and out of the house, so you and I are for sure, and Amy, we're reflecting. Not only are we the only ones here with kids, but I think you have a soon to be, or maybe
future stepson.
But Amy and myself and Sean, we're not only reflecting on raising kids, but we're reflecting on, did we do it okay? I guess I still have a couple of boys that'll be in the house for still a few years, but we're reflecting on whether we did a good job or not. I for sure would have been way more conservative. We did not have an no holds barred, do whatever you want with your phone. iPads weren't the babysitter. We did have limitations and rules and boundaries, but not enough at all. And I would have done more what Amy and Dick did as far as getting a cell phone, getting social media. I would have just encouraged my kids to hold off longer.
But y'all were good, and we envied you because you made your kids put them up at night. And we tried to say, so we're bad parents, I guess. We tried to say, okay, 9:00, it goes on the counter, and you go to bed, and you live your life, without your phone. Your kids did that. I remember coming over, and they would, it was they were on the counter. Do you remember that?
Maybe that was a short span of time.
I remember that because I was like, we stink.
You're like, I'm such a good parent.
Yeah, we are awesome then. I changed all of what I said.
We were more conservative than you guys with social media.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think you had more pressure. My girls are 8 years apart. So we could always say, well, things are different. Either way. You know what I mean? To the advantage or whatever. We learned with her, so now you can't. Or say to the older one, we had no idea, so this is happening now. So we kind of had that advantage. But we were very strict and more tailored to the child's
Psyche.
Yeah. So
or
like
what they needed at the time. Some
my
people could-
oldest was really responsible, so we weren't worried about her having a phone at a younger age, and she was on buses going back and forth to School of the Arts, so like that was the magnet school, so you're coming from different areas, so it wasn't like even in our city. So it was in North Charleston. We live in West Ashley. So in middle school, Abby, we felt she needed the cell phone. Audrey, no ma'am.
Yeah. How do you think you did, Sean? And your wife is Sarah, right?
Yeah.
How what grade would you guys what would you give yourselves?
I think we got lucky. I think we had it a little easier because we got our kids cell phones in like 7th grade, but they were just the flip phones, and I think their very first ones, they could dial 3 numbers and that was it, kind of thing. And then we sort of had a central house computer on dial up for a number of years. They didn't get smartphones until they were in high school. And by then they were still kind of newish in the sense that it wasn't used for all the social media stuff as much then. So I think that maybe we sort of went with the flow a little bit, and thankfully it was sort of regulated by the limitations of technology.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, what would be your assessment to kids growing up and your lived experience, and what would you say would be, in your opinion, a healthy time for a kid to have a smartphone?
Never.
And all right, Grandma.
Hot take.
Grandma millennial.
They have to do messenger pigeons forever. I would say, I begged on my knees to my dad, crying in tears for a cell phone when I was 15. I was also very dramatic. And he got me one, and he said, because me and my older brother would fight over the phone so much, he goes, I need pizza in my house. So I was 15, but my brother was 17. And he still is like, see, I had to wait 2 more years, and I was like, well, if we weren't fighting over the phone. By the way, the first month the bill came back, I talked 5,000 minutes. My dad averaged it out. Wow. He goes, for this to be true, for what I'm looking at, you have had to talk 3 hours a day. And I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. 5,000 minutes. But with Jameson, who is my soon-to-be stepson, we have been talking very openly about no social media until at least I want to do sophomore in
How
high
old is
school.
Jameson?
He's 11 now. Yeah, I want to do in like maybe a sophomore or junior. My boyfriend's kind of like, oh, but maybe a freshman. Like we go back and forth with it. But we were like, he had a cell phone for about 4 months, and it was disastrous. He was on it all the time. So he actually does not have one anymore. And it is night and day, the engagement of when we first started dating, he had it, versus now him and his ex-wife are like, we're not going to do it till they're 8th grade now. And it is night and day. And he even said, he was like, I wouldn't even wanted to come down and hang out with you because I'd just be on my phone. And I'm like, exactly. Do you see? So he sees it, but I know that he envies his friends who has it still. So I think he walks the line. So I for us, I'm really hoping and praying that we come together for 15, 16 for the cell phone. But that's just because I know my addiction rate.
No, I made that noise because I don't beat myself up for it, but I wish I would have waited longer for sure.
How old were your kids when they got them?
Like Amy said, they're all close in age, so it's all the pressure of, the kid that's a year and a half older than me has such and such, but I want to say, gosh, my guess would be that Instagram for sure in middle school.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And that was been a hot topic too. And I think him and his ex-wife are like maybe freshmen in high school. But I was like, let's go all the way.
Yeah.
I was like, let's go all the way. College. And they're like, okay, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's what we did for our youngest. No, she snuck because she was sneaky. So she snuck and actually used your daughter's email address to set up an Instagram account we did not know about. And when
kids are so smart.
Yeah.
She was sneaky. That's bad.
It is bad,
That's
but I'm
not smart.
impressed.
That's sneaky.
My daughter was an accomplice.
I'm sure she was peer pressured. It was not your daughter's fault. Clearly, our daughters are super good friends and precious. But yeah, she had one, and then she was terrified she was going to get caught. So then, we figured it out and had her shut it down. But the older one had Facebook and sophomore, junior, senior years. And that was like, we were not happy about that. Like, we were like, I don't know if she's ready. And then there was this big thing where like all these kids got caught cheating through Facebook. Like they were sharing, like they had taken pictures of a assignment or something and like shared it. And so everybody who liked it or commented on it got in trouble. But my daughter didn't have Facebook then. So she was like, yes, like it wasn't like I could even basically, have anything to do with that. So she was like, I get it. I get what you're saying. Like some of those people that liked it were just trying to feel cool, but they didn't actually like cheat, but they saw it. You know what I mean? So
kids are so smart.
that was really good of us. But yeah, I just think you kind of have to look at your kid and see how they handle it and maybe adjust a little bit. And not to be afraid. Like, I was not afraid for our oldest to be like, this is embarrassing to have this school. Like, I need an iPhone. And we were like, I don't care if you're embarrassed. You can either have that or nothing. So you choose. Like, doesn't bother me. You still have a flip phone.
Well, and I think my little brother, who's 7 years younger than me, and then I'm 3 years younger than my older brother, he got his about a year and a half younger than we did. And I remember me and my older brother were like, what the heck? And my mom looked at me and said, Chad is leaps and bounds more mature than you were at this time. And I looked at her and she goes, I can say that with a full heart because I'm both of y'all's mom. And she was like, this is a prime example of like each kid has a different maturity. And Chad was born super mature. I mean, everything about him was mature. So that's when I realized, and he has like no problem with it. So I was like, man, dang it.
That's awesome. What do you think?
To go along with your idea of society sort of self-correcting, over the last 4 or 5 years, one of the big advancements in phone use is that parental controls are much more granular than they were before. So this would be a PSA to all the parents out there. You can do things like location tracking, limit time on the phone. You can limit specific apps so they can't install Facebook, or maybe they can only use Facebook for 30 minutes a day. You can limit so that they can only add phone numbers that you allow them to add, or even things like if they take a picture, it goes to your phone first for approval before it goes to theirs for them to send to their friends or whatever.
Oh my gosh, it's way too much work.
Well, I would encourage parents to put in the work to say like, all right, here's a phone for the first 6 months. You can call me and you can use Facebook for half an hour. See how that goes. Here's another, we're going to, happy like 12th birthday. We're going to give you a basic TikTok that you can use for 20 minutes a day. And then it's less of a yes phone, no phone, and more of a what sort of specific customized experience do I want my child to have?
Yeah.
So I know it's a lot of pain and it can be confusing and annoying to mess with the settings, but it is an investment that gives you a lot more moderation, and it allows your kid to have an iPhone and not be weird, but they can only, add the friends that they know in school.
Well, parents are the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
That's what, I know Julie Hyatt, Joey, and she said one time, she was like, parents are the gatekeepers. You're the gatekeepers of all the world to your kids. And that to me is like, it is a lot of work. And I'm like, oh my goodness, do I have to do that? But I'm like, I'm the shield. Like, I've been down here and I don't want him to have the same FOMO issues I did so young. So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end. I think the payoff is having a fully like devoted person to Jesus, but also to the world that can be like totally responsible and knows how to handle him or herself. So I see it as a good thing. It's just that it's a lot of work.
Thank the Lord I don't have to deal with it anymore. Like,
you found the finish line.
Yeah. I'm
not there yet. We're not married.
We were there early enough where we could be like, I'm not really sure what all this is, but
All right, so wrapping this thing up, I've got 2 more questions, one on AI and then one on this guy, Heston James. But I wanted to circle back around, see what you all think about this, because Sean, I really resonated with what you said as far as the identity piece not being as much of a factor for older folks. But I wonder if it takes on a different form, such as seeing other people in the sort of life that they live, the sort of money that they have to make because they're going on these vacations, and the sorts of cars that they drive and experiences they're able to give their kids. That why can't we give our kids those sorts of experiences? There seems to be an identity. Maybe that's not identity. Maybe that's just flat out jealousy. But I wonder if that can tap into some identity stuff with the older age group of just like status and what other families are able to do.
Yeah, that's a great point, Joey. It 100% does.
Yeah.
You may not validate your identity from it, but there is, keeping up with the Joneses has been around for a while, and social media is unfortunately a very easy barometer. So yeah, if we see, people that we know, going to Fiji and taking the whole family, and we're in our heads going, how much would that have cost? And they have that kind of margin. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So it's out there. I don't know. It's for me personally. I'm a workaholic and a homebody, and like that stuff doesn't affect me, but I do notice it. And I know for some people, it is a thing. And so like very early on, my wife and I said, we don't post our vacations. If we buy a new car, no one's going to know about it. We're just not going to engage in that, but it's out there. I see it.
Yeah.
And I hear people talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So your quick take on the simple question, AI, are you more optimistic or pessimistic? David?
Extremely pessimistic.
Yeah.
How much time do I have?
Wow,
Yeah,
that is the quickest take.
I know. Yeah, try to give us a little take on why you're pessimistic.
I think that
Because that's interesting because you're the tech guy that kind of values digital relationships and it's a different realm of existence and all that, and you're like, oh, AI, no sir.
Yeah, I think the technology is not stable and the cost is prohibitive. The damage that it does to the environment is destructive. The cost that it requires is not turning a profit. I think we'll look back on AI as one of the biggest mistakes that we invested in as a society.
Oh, dang.
All right.
Even if it works.
The
even if it
pollution
works, the
part
cost
is
doesn't
what
work.
freaks me out.
Yeah. Even if it works
Wow.
great, the cost isn't worth it. in my opinion.
Wow. Never even heard that perspective. Amy?
The pollution part is really bad. And the fact that they're going into like lower socioeconomic areas because they know they won't be able to fight back is horrible. I didn't realize that until I went to visit my daughter in California. And of course, she's like, oh, you didn't know this or you didn't know that. And it's a bunch of like PhD kids. So they're all smart, talking about this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I'm so dumb. I didn't know that. I was like, what are you talking about? And they were talking about how environmentally horrible it is. And like you wouldn't want it in your neighborhood. So it's so bad. And realizing that for me, especially since, our environment, this is it. Like we either take care of it. We're already at this like tipping point. Like, why are we allowing this? It's crazy to me. Like, I don't understand why there's not already like regulations in place about this.
Makes
It's
money.
not worth it.
Makes money though. Who cares?
Yeah.
The root of all kinds of evil.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So far,
Pessimistic.
AI is 0 for 2 here.
I walk a fine line with it because AI does a lot of my light work, and I am definitely like, I even did a Bible study yesterday where I didn't know what to do when I typed it in. I have a huge fear of it replacing my job. I'm a radio DJ. There are already Spotify DJs out right now. So in that aspect, I'm against it. I also am afraid that if I'm not nice to it, it's going to take over the world and remember me and come and kill me. That's my second thing. And I'm not joking about that. If they can have an access to a 3D printer, why won't they make something that will come and kill me? But the thing is, I will use it at work and it will cut all of my admin work in half. So can I be like 50s, like 50-50 on it?
Yeah.
I'm going to rest there.
Well, that's so interesting. I personally, if everybody in the world was like me and how we...
If only Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how we received entertainment, media... The AI DJ would only work if I didn't know if it was AI, because otherwise I'd be like, I'm just listening to a complicated spreadsheet here.
I mean, it fails.
I would want the human piece, but if you don't know, you don't know.
The original one that they actually had a radio station that tried it out 2 months ago and it failed horribly. There were a lot of issues with it. So all the DJs were like cheering in the comment section, like our jobs are safe. So there is a human component that is good, but there also is a level of like we're constantly reminded at work, like, hey, use it as a tool to help your job. Don't use it as like you're giving everything to AI. So that's why it's like I use it. Like I'm not even gonna lie, I use ChatGPT all the time, but am I still afraid that it was a bad investment for society? Yes. Will it come and kill me? Maybe. So it's like, and should I be like, hey, you're doing a really good job? Yes, I do encourage it. So it's like, I don't know. I go back and forth with it. So I haven't landed on it because I know some people have like a really intense view, but I do see the cognitive destructive, like it is making us a little stupider because we're not using our critical thinking skills anymore. So I do try to only do it to make it easier not to think for me.
Gotcha.
Like don't think for me.
But look at how like we're even looking at these generations now and seeing like how things have changed. You know what I mean? And like how fast this is gonna like technology is getting faster and faster and faster and faster. So there's like the snowball effect. And I mean with AI, if it continues to snowball at the rate other things have, like it is going to replace a lot of things, and people are going to be okay with it not being the human factor because they're going to be like, oh, those were old people thought that. You know what I mean? Like boomers.
Those are old people thought.
Yeah. All right, Sean.
Yeah, I'm along the similar lines of the group. I think I'm very worried about it. I don't like it that much as it relates to, like, for example, in my profession, practice of law. I think it's very dangerous. And I have a men's group that I'm a part of, and we were talking about it the other day. And, you know, it raises a really interesting question as to, you know, what is intelligence and how does it affect intellectual curiosity? So, like, you know, is smart either knowing the information or knowing how to find the information? You know, and so as one who, you know, I've invested most of my life in doing the reading, acquiring the knowledge and the experience the hard way. And you know, I don't know, maybe that's old fashioned, but I feel like you gain a deeper understanding by acquiring it that way versus just, you know, speaking into a device and having it spit this back out at you in a passive sort of way. And so that really worries me about, like, the future generations in terms of, you know, what will they actually know? Will they be able to write? Can they think? Can they think logically, et cetera? And so that's a concern for me.
And who's controlling the information that is fact? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have an opportunity to kind of fact check still and like look at things. But I mean, it's going to get to the point where you're just believing whatever you're being spoon fed, and there's not going to be fact checking. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Video evidence. There's no such thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not.
No.
AI can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
You're right.
All right. So the last question that
I like how that's probably the biggest topic we could talk about for 7 hours, and it's the second to last thing on Joey's.
I was like,
quick list.
I got a lot of thoughts about AI, but
Here's a real quick item.
oh, can we fit AI in? But TikToker Heston James faces up to 9 years in jail. Basically, what this guy does or did is go to business establishment to business establishment, cause chaos, screaming at the top of his lungs, having a partner that's screaming and then the manager walks up and he totally denies it. Those sorts of things. I told the Gen Z group he actually walked into a Target with 8 other guys and they were all dressed like Target employees, and so just going around just making trouble pretty much, and making a ton of money on his YouTube channel as he records all of this. The police emphasized these acts were criminal, not playful, potential penalties of up to 9 years in prison, $315,000 worth of fines, which that's probably nothing to him. But what do y'all think about 9 years in prison for these sort of shenanigans?
I mean, I definitely think that if you are doing anything to harm someone else for a view, it's criminal. Like, I'm all about trying to get views to get money. I get that. But criminally, if you're hurting someone, or even if you're like disparaging towards someone, that's not worth it, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I would agree. He probably needs all 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think it's a little stiff. I think he should I think, my kids were just like 9 years. I'm like, yeah, he went around. He was unlawful in all of these places that every single time he did that, and he's making bank from it.
What was the destruction on the businesses?
Right.
Like, I'm like, what is that like? Is it punitive? I don't know. What is the what he has to pay? Is that equaling out what the damage was done?
Yeah.
That would be hard.
And like you said, like the monetary amount that he has to pay is probably not a big deal for him.
Right.
So then what is a big deal?
Yeah.
Time in prison.
Your time.
Yeah.
Like you.
Amy'd be like 18 years would be fine.
Like, throw the book at him forever. No.
Well, he might be out of that phase of doing it.
I mean,
if he's 18. Then.
I'm freaked out about, like, there's lots of things to be freaked out about prison. Like, I mean, sometimes you go in there, maybe not such a bad guy, and you come out really bad. You know what I mean? So there's lots of other issues to talk about with that. But I do think 9 years feels like a lot. And so you being in the legal field, you might be able to tell us more like where they got that number from.
Yeah, I don't know in this particular case, but if it was a number assigned by a jury, I'm sure there was, some thinking that came along with it. There is this notion: does the punishment fit the crime? And is he being made an example of? For purposes of a deterrence, in society? And I don't know the answers to that. I will tell you though, it's hugely influential. I mean, my wife, she's an elementary school teacher, and she told me that last year there were like 4 girls, believe it or not, who decided they were going to beat up this girl in the bathroom. And the only reason they wanted to do it is because if they filmed it on their phone, they put it on their phone and posted it, it would get a ton of views. Like they didn't even have anything against the child, and so those sorts of things are particularly insidious. And so, this guy might be the high profile example, but, then you start looking at, well, I mean, is 9 years enough if it's something that's so influential that it's causing harm in this ripple effect sort of way to other people? My answer is I don't know. I don't know, but it is really bothersome. There's a fine line between something that is a prank and it's funny, or it's truly damaging to somebody's business. In this case.
Yeah. All right, David.
I'm with Sean. I think it sounds like they're trying to make an example to discourage other people from doing that, and that seems to have some kind of value as a society. But I don't have any strong opinions either way.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Yeah. And are you guys looking forward to more talking about we're going to go real deep in political polarity within the church, and even dip our toes in, lighthearted topics like racism.
So lighthearted.
No, I mean it when
friendly
I say
racism.
Yeah, some deep stuff, and then the other time we record, it will be more of like your day to day, how different generations perceive money, how Gen Z, they can't just graduate from high school, get an apartment, or graduate from money is a lot
Millennials
different.
can't either.
Yeah. But parenting, we're gonna kind of go in tons of directions. What are y'all looking forward to the most? The deeper, or?
I love talking about racism.
I like the last couple things you were talking about not being able to graduate and be able to get an apartment.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with that right now, so it's hard.
Yeah. Amy?
I Life 101 is, I love it. That's a great topic, Joey. And this has been an interesting experience for me because I'm very much a quality time person, and I feel really connected to the conversation. But I know I would have felt more connected if I could have been in the room with you guys.
He's
and
like our friend. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, but I feel
Sean,
like
then get back over here.
In many ways, it's an example of what we were talking about tonight in terms of engagement. I crave the human interaction, and to answer your question, Joey, I'm really looking forward to spending some more time with everybody in this room, because I think that the cross section of opinions and life experiences is fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Thank y'all. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And next week, it's the boomers to talk about the same sort of stuff.
Ooh,
that we
I
just
can't
talked
wait.
about.
They're gonna be like, they're the worst, and we're gonna be like, don't be mean to us.
I know.
Can't wait. Can't
so
wait.
good.
You've been listening to Seacoast Church's Things You Won't Hear on Sunday podcast. We are now on Instagram. Go to instagram.com/SeacoastPod for your one-stop shop to interact with this podcast and chime into the conversation. You can also be a patron of the podcast and receive exclusive content and live feeds of our recordings. All of your support goes towards Seacoast ministry efforts and local presence. All of this information is in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening.